Thank you for introducing me. As you already said, I'm Giulia Petrachi. I'm doing a PhD at the University of Oslo, and we're going to be shifting gears now because it's no longer climate change and ecosystems. Now we're shifting to food waste. And usually when I do food waste introduction in sustainability conferences, I'm the only one that is talking food waste. But today there's going to be another one in the afternoon, so I'm super thrilled. I don't think it's in the room now because we are quite a few, but funny already. So, food waste. I'm going to get started with the definition that my research group is using for food waste. It's a foreshadowing of the conclusions that I'm going to draw. So food waste refers to the decrease in the quantity or quality of food resulting from decisions and actions by retailers, food services, and consumers. We're focusing on retailers today with my presentation, and decrease in the quantity or quality of food. What for? Like, what is the food intended for? And what is the decrease gonna affect? That's my goal for the presentation today. I'm focusing on retailers. The reason for focusing on retailers is that retailers have a primary role in the supply chain. They are the main link that connects consumers and producers. So they dictate how much is entering the market for consumers, and they know how much consumers are going to buy based on historical trends. What I'm doing is I use a value creation approach. I'm going to show you later what I mean by that, but I'm going to take a law and economics approach. So I'm more of a lawyer. I know that today is not the main trend, but I'm going to do mostly economics, so mathematics. Framing the issues would be retailers have a pivotal role, as I said, and I'm taking an approach that is Norwegian based because I'm doing my PhD in Oslo. But the results that I'm going to reach, I think, are applicable to most supply chains, especially in Europe, and especially if it's a capitalistic system. Norway implemented a multilateral binding agreement for food waste reduction. It's not a hard law, but they basically put 5 ministries and 127 corporations together, and they said, let's reach an argument, let's agree on something. What businesses need to do is implement measures that contribute to consumers throwing away less food. And we're going to see that most of them did it by introducing discounts and buy one, get one free initiatives. This is because a lot of surplus enters the market. And what happens with the surplus is that the corporations need to get rid of it because the surplus doesn't really have as much as economic value as the rest of the produce that are going to be sold. Why there is a lot of surplus? Because overstocking is very, very beneficial to retailers. In the first place, because foregoing a sale because you don't have the product to sell is not financially beneficial in any way. Of course, you're not making money by selling because you don't have the product to sell. And in the second place, is also very beneficial reputationally, because if I go to COP and I see that they don't have the strawberries that I wanted, and I see it one time and I see it a second time, I'm just going to stop going to COP. I'm just going to go to another supermarket that has the things that I'm looking for. So I mentioned that retailers try to get away from wasting and in the interaction with consumers by introducing buy one, get one free, BOGOF. You're all familiar with that, and discounts. I say it's an ambiguous argument because other scholars have interacted with whether discounts are wasteful or not in the past. And they didn't really reach an agreement. There is no consensus because it seems like sometimes consumers buy a lot of discounted products and they don't waste it. Other times they are more wasteful. It's hard to reach an agreement when we are going as an approach through the food that is being disposed of. So if we account for the disposed food, one can say, yes, I did buy two bags of apples, but I wanted to make strudel for my friend and then she didn't come because she had a fever. I don't know. So did I waste it because it was on discount, or did I waste it because the situation changed? It's not really easy if we go through that. So what I'm trying to do to understand, I'm sorry, I should have introduced a trigger warning for the other lawyers, because now there is mathematics. So sorry for that. But I wanted to understand if there is more waste by looking at the value of the product rather than at the product that is being disposed of. So the value of the product when it's food is inevitably dependent on time, because of course food is gonna it's gonna rot, it's gonna expire, especially when we talk about fresh foods. Fresh foods are defined as foods that have a 30 days or less window of time for consumption. And the perception of the value of food products is going to decline, both for retailers and consumers. But it's going to be quicker for consumers because retailers have more impact on the time framework for food products. And so what I did to model it, I took a decay equation. The decay equation is supposed to show how the decay of value is happening over time. And then I took the decay constant, and it's larger for consumers than it is for retailers, because of course the decay for consumers is larger than for retailers. And then I took Pareto, and this is the last economic concept I explain, and then we move on to something more fun. We know Pareto, it's to indicate the utility in a supply and demand context. And it indicates when the supply and demand reach the point where no actor in the market is going to be better off if we move the supply and we put more supply and less demand. So it's optimal. There is an optimal interaction between supply and demand. And what I did is just I put decay in the Pareto equation, and now we have a more dynamic approach to that. And we see how the value decays over time. So it's a race to zero. The value is gonna decay whatever happens. And there is no way, even if we discount the product in this context, to really keep up with the decay of the value. So what I'm seeing with this equation is that there is no just disposing approach to understanding how food waste is created. Food waste is primarily happening when we decay the value rather than when we just dispose of the food. What my thesis is getting at is that the decrease in quality and quantity is related to the value. So even if we get the food for discount, it doesn't really matter because the value is already getting decreased, and we only have a very small window of time for consuming without throwing away. So what I'm getting at is that discounts are really good at shifting the blame and shifting accountability when it comes to interaction between retailers and consumers. And what happens is that the issue is particularly present when it comes to fresh foods, because they cannot be discounted before they are already reaching the race to the bottom. So to conclude, I think that good solutions from a legal point of view would be, in the first place, to understand that fresh food work differently than other foods, so they can and should be discounted before they are 30 days. The 30 days before they've been on the market have run out. Especially important is to introduce a legislation that is against stockpiling, so we reduce the surplus on the market, and this way there is less food that is running out of value. And then the final thing that I think is the most important is to use alternative methods to understand food waste and what represents waste, instead of just tracking disposal, because this way we understand better how value is created also for consumers, and we also understand better which actors are actually wasting, instead of just which actors are disposing of food surplus. So this was my presentation. And I'm Giulia Petrachi. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn.